Welcome to Bubonicon 2023. We have this special virtual content today because Ursula Vernon and Kevin Sonney weren't able to make it in person. Oh, is it Sony or Sunny?
Either works, but Sunny is how I pronounce it, and wish we were there.
Oh yeah.
So, oh yeah.
Yeah, and we
Orange cat,
definitely
don't
wish
show
you
your butt.
guys.
Don't show. Oh,
Yeah, we definitely wish you guys were here. So we wanted to do this virtual talk so that people could still get to see your faces and check in with you. Um, I don't know if you wanted to talk Ursula at all while you guys can't be here. I know
Oh,
you've
sure.
been kind of
It's
open on
certainly not a
Twitter.
secret. I was unfortunately picked up a case of breast cancer, and I don't know how else to say it. I mean, it. I
Makes it sound
realize
like you caught it at the airport.
well, I realize we have all these metaphors. Like, I am battling breast cancer. No, it's like I've got a squirrel in the attic, and it just takes the exterminators a while to get it. Except it's a squirrel in my boob. And so yes, that's basically what's going on. Unfortunately, chemo knocks out your immune system, and I said, can I get on a plane to New Mexico? And my doctor looked at me like I had suggested wading through raw sewage. So unfortunately, I can't be there, and I wish I could, because I really need to get my hatch chili fix.
oh my God,
been a
yes.
while.
And we love Albuquerque, and we love all the people, and I was so excited about getting to go back, and so just not this time.
Yes.
Well, we look forward when you are able to come, hopefully next year, and we'll see. I think that one of the big things for Ursula this year is that you're nominated for a Hugo Award. I wasn't sure. Is this your first Hugo nomination?
Oh no, this is my. Oh God, it's embarrassing that I don't remember which one it is.
Okay, so this is your first novel.
Yes,
This is
best
the
novel,
first best novel.
and actually first best novella too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're up for 2 this year.
Yes.
Again.
I've previously been nominated. I've won several, but it is a great honor to be nominated every year. Well, not that I'm nominated every year, but it's a great honor to be nominated every time. And
yes, but just for reference, one best graphic story in 2012, one was it novelette,
yeah,
and then short story, and then a Lodestar Award, not a Hugo,
which is not a Hugo. Yes.
And another short story.
No, just the
Oh right,
yeah,
just the one short story. Yeah. And we won't talk about the locusts and the nebulas and the
but
dragons and
talking about them.
And the mythopoeics, and
Well, that was embarrassing. Anyway, yes, I am nominated, and thank you everyone who votes in them. That's fabulous. I am glad you enjoyed the stories.
Yeah, I actually just finished Nettle and Bone. I had been intending to read it, and then when we scheduled this recording, I was like, "Oh, I got to read it," and I had already purchased it on my Kindle, so it was already there waiting for me. And I really liked it. I feel like it was the perfect vibe of like fantasy and Halloween. Like, I don't know how else to describe it.
Oh, awesome!
oh yeah.
I mean, there's a relatively friendly dog skeleton that is a major character, and
yeah. And if you want to get your next fantasy fix, I realize for those of you at the event, it's already out. For those of us who are recording in the past, Thornhedge is out or coming out depending on what time you're viewing this at, so which is also dark fantasy and really sweet, and it's a great book.
It's very sweet. There's only a couple dead bodies.
Only a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I think it's really good. I think you fill a niche of like dark fantasy that I think is really popular, which is why people nominate you for awards. And
I am enormously thrilled that there are readers for the books, because I would still probably write them anyway, but it would be awkward and if no one was reading them. So I'm so glad that there are people out there actually reading them.
I will admit that when I picked up the Twisted ones like a while ago, and I had no idea it was you. Like you had come to Bubonicon before and I'd met you. And then I just picked it up like off, looking at Barnes and Noble, reading the back of books and read it. And then I was telling Craig about that. And he was like, that's Ursula, right? And I was like, I had no idea.
It's that I am T. Kingfisher is something of an open secret, but I mean, it's not like I go around, with a sign on my head that says also T. Kingfisher. So
we can do that though.
I'd rather not. We
could get you like Chuck Tingles with like the T. Kingfisher is when we put the bag over your head that says T. Kingfisher.
I'd feel like I was ripping off Chuck Tingle, who
or the Unknown Comic.
Yeah, well. Yes.
So there you go. Deep cut for the old people. There you go.
And Chuck Tingle is awesome. And if you've not read Camp Damascus, which just came out, you should. It's a really fun, cool horror novel set at a gay conversion camp, which is the fabulous setting for a horror novel. And it's really good.
So one of the thing when I read the Twisted ones, there's this scene where she's like hiding in her house and there's this like bone creature floating outside, like at the windows. Like that haunts me to this day. Like it has been like like 1 or 2 years since I read that book. I don't think I could describe anything else of what happened, but there's this like image in my mind of like hiding from this bone creature. It was so scary.
To this day, that is the scariest scene I have ever written. And I don't know how. I think it's because I am terrified that at some point I will look out the window and there will be like a face or something looking back. It's like one of those deep sort of atavistic fears. And so, yeah, it came through, I think. Everything else, you would have to like be in the situation where you would have to get into a situation where you are, in a firefight with skeletons or whatever. But the looking out the window and there's something there is a thing that I think everybody could have happen. So it's scary.
And the number of people who are just screaming, how did you get a jump scare into a novel? You don't put jump scares in novels. How did you do that? So
I don't know, and I don't know how to do it again. If I knew how to do it on command, I would probably be a much better author. Sometimes you get lucky.
Or people would just be like or like the Joss Whedon thing, like, oh, here comes the knife to the chest. Oh, here comes the jump scare in Ursula's novel. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So. It's really good that I can't do it on command, or else I'd just be doing it constantly. So
Orange cat, don't keep moving. Not the tail. Oh, come on now, move. I don't care.
So cats, how many cats do you guys have? I've seen 2.
Oh, we have 4, and 2 of them are generally pretty good about not getting in. Well, no, that's not true. At least one of them is pretty good about not getting in front of the camera.
He's camera shy, yeah. So Orange Cat, Cammy, who you just saw, she has for the entire time I've been working at home, and it's been a very long time now, waits for me to get on a video call and wants to be on my lap, on my shoulder, licking my face. It is the most ridiculous thing. Sergey he just realizes it's annoying. That's the one-eyed gray cat. And so he will be up in my business just like, you're not paying attention to me. And then
and walking on the keyboard.
Yeah. Often when we're recording. Shaw just wants to be where he can look out the window. That's our tuxedo. And then Hobbs, the tabby, he's just like, whatever. I'm not going to bother unless there's a squirrel. And then all bets are off. So, is there a squirrel?
No, there was a bird.
Oh, there was a bird. Yeah, I know.
I'm as bad as the cat.
You really are. You don't sit on my desk staring out there. Yeah. So,
I've also heard rumor that you guys have chickens.
Oh, yes. Chickens are Kevin's great love. his fandom is the chicken.
Yeah, not just live chickens. I have stuffed chickens. I have plush chickens.
It's made it much easier to shop for him because before it was like obscure tech stuff, and now it's just like, does it have a chicken on it? Okay, I can get it for Kevin.
Yeah.
But don't say how many you have. The number fills me with horror.
30. Four adult roosters. We don't know how many juvenile roosters because they haven't really matured yet. I got one suspicion, and the rest are hens. So if you're ever visiting and you need eggs, dear God, do we have eggs?
Please come and get some eggs.
Yeah, especially in the early spring.
Lots of eggs. Would you like to take up baking? Make a angel food cake, something.
Pound cake, souffle. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Lots of.
I actually do make a lot of meringue based baked goods. So
good. Yes.
You bake?
I do bake. I have many hobbies, I guess, but I don't do them as much anymore because I did have a baby last year. So but yes, I presume the chickens is why there is a demon chicken in Nettle and Bone.
Yes, that was actually based on a very specific chicken, a brown leghorn who adopted Kevin and was the reason he got into chickens to begin with. She had belonged to the neighbors. She had survived a raccoon attack that took out all the other chickens they had, and she just refused to go in a coop again. And so she was living in a tree and coming down to the garden here, down the hill to the garden to eat, bugs and things. And Kevin was like, there's a chicken in the yard. I have to feed the chicken or the chicken will be sad. And then once you have fed the chicken, it is now, you are now responsible for the chicken. And then the chicken needed friends, but the friends would need a coop. And and
then the defining moment was we had a snowstorm that winter, and I was out there, making sure everybody was in, and Strong Independent Chicken was like, well,
that's what we named her, was Strong Independent Chicken,
who don't need no rooster. And it was getting towards sunset, and she was starting to head up the hill. I looked at her. I said, you could just go in the coop here. You don't have to go up the hill every night. And she looked at me, and she looked up the hill. She looked at me in the coop, and she looked up the hill. And I swear to you, if a chicken could go, she did. And she walked in the coop, and she lived in that coop for the rest of the time.
Yeah, she made it to, I think, 8, which for a chicken is quite venerable.
Yes, and then she went out one morning and didn't come back, which is essentially how she came into our lives. She showed up one morning and kept coming, and then one day she just went out and didn't come back. That's just, we figure somewhere else someone needed a chicken, and so she is off to the next person who needs chickens in their lives.
Like some weird chicken fairy descending on.
Yeah.
With Nettle and Bone, right, you have this like group of people, one of which is a demon chicken, but I really appreciated, like, you had this group of women, and most of them were older women, right? You don't see very many adventures that are older women going out and doing things.
I write a lot of them because when I started writing sort of fantasy romance, I was like, I did not know anything when I was 18, 19, whatever. So I
thought I did.
Yeah. So I'm going to write the story of the 30 and 40 somethings who are falling in love and having adventures and going, oh God, I don't want to have an adventure where I have to sleep on the ground. This is terrible. Because, these are the things that I am concerned about.
And I think the thing about it is that your heroines and your leads are doing what needs to be done, whether they necessarily want to or not, which I identify with. It's like, someone has to do this thing, and I guess it's me. Right. And that does seem to be a shared trait amongst many of your heroes and heroines.
Well, I mean, when you're 16-year-old farm boy with a destiny, it's like, yay, I get to go save the world, or yay, I am on a journey of self-discovery, and those are valid stories and they need to be told. It's just that I have not been a 16-year-old farm boy with a destiny for a long, long time, if ever, and I have spent a lot of time being a middle-aged woman who may not have a destiny, but oh God, someone's got to clean up that mess, and I'm here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's something that I think is relatable for a lot of people, particularly at conventions. If you work in the convention at all, the I have the oh God, something is broken. I can fix that, therefore I will fix it. I suppose it's my job to fix it. And yes, many of you listening to this are probably nodding or putting your heads in your hand and weeping gently, as may be.
And then you find yourself in charge of entire departments without meaning to, and yeah,
I know how that goes.
we all do. Yes.
The responsibility to destiny pipeline.
Being too good at your job, so they give you more responsibility, and so destiny comes.
Yes, this needs to get done. Well, give it to them. They get everything done.
Well, we call it the responsibility gene in the Dorsi regulars.
Yes,
like we all have it. That and balloon hand. Like if someone well, this job needs to be done. No, don't. Stay down. Stay down. No, don't volunteer for anything else. Yeah, that's.
Let's see. Oh, so in Nettle and Bone, I have to ask, the boarding house doll. I was like, this is like a background fact in this book. And like, I feel like you could do a whole novel just on that. So like, where did that come from?
I have no idea. Like literally sometimes you just open the door. I was writing, they open the door, there she is, and there's a weird ass puppet on her shoulder, and I'm just like typing that. I'm going, oh, okay, that's interesting. Guess we'll figure out where that's going later. I do not plan these things horribly far in advance. Frequently, I just plow forward and see what happens, and things will come up that are just. I'm just like, oh, this is interesting. I'll write this in, and that was interesting, and it
it was scary.
Well, it was sort of it wound up evolving into kind of a counterpoint to because the hero, our heroic party is saving someone, but they can't save everyone, and this was like just a person who did not want to be saved, and and it was, I felt like for whatever reason it was important to write in that some people do not want to be saved, and it is not your job to save them if they have decided that they don't want that. So you can make the offer, and if not, then they get to choose that. And so it was but mostly I think I just wanted to write a freaky little puppet that lived on somebody's shoulder and had a like cord wrapped around her neck. So
do you consent to be saved?
What are you saving me from?
I don't know.
Oh, but yes, I guess people should consent to be saved. Yes, like barring things like they're unconscious and in a flaming car, in which case just drag them out. We don't need to get weird about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the beginning of The Incredibles, I guess, when he saves that guy. That guy says he didn't want to be saved, and then sues him. That sets up the whole.
Yeah. It's if you get into some of it is if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're a rescuer, everybody looks like they need rescue. And no, some people are just living their lives and are not your problem, and you need to butt out. So
yeah.
Which for fantasy heroes is a very difficult thing to learn, I think, and not something that gets addressed very often.
Yeah, it's like the D&D adventurer problem, right? They see a problem and they solve it.
or burn it down, or
or kill everyone, whatever.
The murder hobo thing. Yes, we are going to go right the wrongs by causing way more wrongs. That might just be our party.
No, that's not just our party.
No, we mean well, but
yeah. But I think there's a difference. Some parties don't mean well. Your party, our group, the party means well.
Yes, we don't have any evil players or characters. It's all no, we are trying to do good, and and adopting lots of pets and monsters and trying to rehome hellhounds. That was your fault. You sent dog-shaped monsters at us, and we were not going to fight dogs. We were like, nope, they're good dogs. We will get them into a rescue, and
I made the treant sympathetic.
Yeah, that was also your fault.
My fault.
Yes.
Did I make the mimic sympathetic?
It was a mimic. It was cute.
Yeah,
it's the inevitable thing. You adopt the monsters because they seem sad, or you're like, no, we can get them to join the party, and then eventually you buy a castle so that all of the pets you've adopted have some place to live.
Did anyone ever do like a setting or a version of a tabletop fantasy where basically you're running the monster rescue? Because suddenly I'm thinking,
well, that would be a great thing, though. Yeah. It's like we've found that evil Overlord X is hoarding displacer beasts. Go rescue 50 displacer beasts, malnourished displacer beasts from the evil Peep.
But now you have to rehome them.
Yeah,
which is a whole other thing.
That's a lot of paperwork. Like and cold calling. Nobody wants to role play guilt tripping and cold calling.
Are you sure?
Okay, some people probably do, but no, the rehoming part is hard.
Well, yeah, but why you've gotta include like the whole thing. Look, I used to do animal rescue. I know.
Included. This is our leisure time activity. This is why we don't role play doing our taxes as adventurers.
Oh, that would be hysterical.
No,
let me make a note for later in the campaign.
No,
that you get to the end of the campaign, you have to pay your taxes.
Yeah. Roll intelligence to see if you fill out Schedule C correctly.
That is sort of the plot of Orconomics, which is by the way, great series. I can't remember who wrote it, but it's all about the economic inequalities between adventurers and the Adventurers Guild and the people who are funding the Adventurers Guild so they can make all that. Yeah, no, it's great. It's brilliant. So, yeah.
I have played some D&D, but I'm not much of a D&Der. So, though, my husband plays D&D.
Okay, yes.
Yes, we are all nerds in different ways. It's a rich tapestry. So, speaking of being nerds in different ways, Kevin, I believe you podcast.
I do. It is one of my one of my hobbies. Chickens and podcasting are like my two primary hobbies. So yeah, and I've been doing this for 14 years now.
Look at me.
One different podcast or another. We started with we're going to review prepackaged foods, and that went horribly awry and almost 300 episodes before our health made us stop. And then when everybody told us how awesome Night Vale was and how it was a complete send up of Prairie Home Companion and we'd love it, and we looked at it and said, that's not the one to parody. You should parody the Writer's Almanac, which is like 5 minutes and like the literary birthday of the day and a little poem. And so we started the Hidden Almanac 3 times a week, and that went for 6 years. And I don't like to think about how many episodes before we wrap the story up.
I am very proud of the work we did on it. You can still listen to it all.
You can download the entire thing at hiddenalmanac.com.
Yeah, and it was fun, and I think we accomplished a lot. But having to write 3 episodes a week,
and then record them.
Well, I had to write them, and then you had to record them, and occasionally I had to show up and record. And and that was even when it's only 5 minutes long, that's a lot.
But yeah, because
and then you didn't learn from that. You went on to another one.
well, no, I'd started that one before because I geek out about productivity. And, like from the early days of the online, you're going to make your own planner. Here's the getting things done method and all that. And I just loved it, deep dove. And I'm like, maybe I could share this. And so I started Productivity Alchemy 6 years ago. And yeah, this week I released episode 311. And I talk to people about how they stay productive in their organizational things. And occasionally we geek out about pens and paper and pens and inks and backpacks. Oh, the backpacks.
Yeah, bags in general.
Yeah, but
planners.
A lot of planners and the
bullet
tools.
journals.
But hey, don't. Okay, yeah, we can diss the bullet journal a little, even though that's what I'm using right now. But
it's a cult.
It's definitely a cult. It's a lot of fun, and I can ask questions like, so how do you deal with failure or when you miss a goal? Do you celebrate your successes? Not just, so what systems do you use and what tools do you use?
And it is, we have the great advantage that it is not productivity tools of people who are extremely, productive. Well, I mean, people who are productive, but like, normal people who are super neurodivergent and neurodiverse. It's like ADHD productivity, which is
and I'm actually really pleased to be able to say that my guest list is not all cis hetero white males in the productivity
with a book coming out
in the productivity industrial complex, librarians, people from diverse backgrounds, people from anyone. Are you a stay-at-home parent who is, and that's your thing? Are you one of my favorite interviews was someone who has cystic fibrosis, and like when I said, so what are your said my productivity goal is to stay alive today, like in everything that entails. And it's a hard episode to listen to, but it is just the most amazing thing. I've talked to so many librarians in different, do you know how many different fields in librarian there is? Because I'm learning, like reference and music and the head of library and then the desk, and like it's wow. I've talked to librarians. Some of my favorite people I got to talk to, I had an excuse to interview John Scalzi, Mary Robinette. For those of you who are at Bubonicon right now, I think we're right between Howard and Sandra Taylor. I'm doing an interview with each of them. Like Howard is 1 week and Sandra is the next, from Schlock Mercenary. And
my personal favorite was the weed nun.
Oh yes, the non, yeah, the secular convent in California that was primarily funded through the growth of hemp and cannabis.
Not know there was a secular convent. That's cool.
Yes, no.
There are actually several varieties, but yes, they grew weed, and I was like, "This is the most." Yeah, no, you got to interview the weed nun.
And she was a former like C-level executive who had done the Franklin Covey 7 Habits training, and so had all that practice. And I'm like, I know all of that. Amazing. And now she gave it all up so she can run basically a safe place for women to exist. And yeah.
Sort of combination women's shelter and grow up.
Yeah.
It was fabulous.
Oh, that's one of the early ones. That was great. Yeah.
So what's this productivity podcast called?
This is Productivity Alchemy at productivityalchemy.com. And I'm going to tell you right now, we are not monetizing. I realize that is a surprising thing to hear from podcasters. We're fine financially. We're actually better than fine despite all the situations. And so we actually ask our guests and occasionally our listeners for a charity to give to every week instead of us. We don't need it. other people do. And so it's important that instead of giving us money that we don't need, you give your money to people and places that do.
It brings this up because as soon as you say you're a podcaster, everyone's like, and how are you monetizing it? And it's like, oh God, no, please, let's not have that
I don't need 1,000, 10,000 followers on YouTube, because that is not my goal. That is not the goal. Yeah.
I actually just started a new podcast, and I was looking at different options, and they were all like, monetize your podcast. And I was like, no, like I'm fine. And it would actually make my job more complicated to have a second income stream. So I don't need this. Like, I don't want to have to fill out the paperwork for having a second income stream. So
it's like, and I think that currently the podcast industrial complex has no idea how to handle that as a thing for this really is a hobby that I just enjoy doing, and or a thing that I need that I think needed filling.
I just like to talk to people.
No, that's the whole thing. And when I look at the upcoming guest list here on my right, because I keep it on the wall of everybody I've recorded and where they're scheduled for. Yes, I have my own productivity hacks that I'm using. I'm just looking at this guest list going, it's just awesome in general. Like, look at all these great people from all these different backgrounds and places that I get to have conversations with and then share it.
So what's your podcast?
Oh, it's like, when I say it's like brand new, I mean, like, I've only put out an intro episode, and the first real episode comes out August 15th. So like brand new.
I'll say the name.
My podcast is Mandemonium, because my name is Mandy. And it's about talking to people about their favorite works of fiction, because I just feel like there's so much criticism and cynicism out there, and I just want to hear people talk about things they love. And I have a lot of friends who, have never been on podcasts and stuff. So it's like, we get together, we record, and it's a lot of fun. So,
I'm honestly amazed. There are people that haven't been on podcasts now. It sometimes seems like
we're
everyone
engineers
on Earth. Oh, okay, there you go.
No, I was going to say that the best part was I have found a podcasting booking agency that the moment I said I don't want the same, this is the type of guest I want, who was like, oh, well, here's everybody who doesn't fit into the podcast industrial complex mold of our clients. They've been great. And I had one of their like promoters on, and she's like, I get people on podcasts all the time. I've never actually been on one. And I'm like, well, then here we go. Right?
Yeah.
So
I'm an engineer, so all my friends are very engineering. So that's why they're not
engineers are good. They somebody has to keep the wheels on the bus.
My day job is making cloud go whir. So
we've been married for a while now, and I still have no actual idea what he does.
I just, every time she's like, what is it you do? I make the internet go. It's fine. I get any more complicated than that, she gets that 1,000-yard stare. Like, I know there are words being spoken. I don't know what those words mean.
If you've ever seen the movie True Lies and thought it was unrealistic that she wouldn't know what her husband did for a living. Other than the fact that Kevin obviously does not go to the gym nearly as often as Arnold Schwarzenegger, I found that entirely realistic. It's like, it's something with computers. Okay, nope. That is as much as as I have ever really known.
I'm not an engineer. I'm an engineer, but I'm not a computer person. So we
well,
have
what do you engineer?
I work on satellites. So
that's complicated. That's like that has to go into space and stuff.
It does, but I'm not a software person. All I know is my number one rule of software engineers is close your ears, Kevin, is that you can never believe them when they say how far done they are with their software.
No, you can never believe them, and when they say how far done they are. No, absolutely not.
They're like 90% done, and you're like, no, you're not.
The authors and deadlines are often very similar. So, like, do you have to handle the materials that can endure space and things, or
this podcast, this is not supposed to be about me. But
But this is fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm an aerospace engineer. We build satellites. So we procure and build satellites. So it, depends. So I've done everything from like physically put together a satellite to work on some of the algorithms for the attitude determination and control systems, which is how a satellite turns in space because friction. Well, I mean, there is gravity, but it's not the same.
But it's a whole different.
And
how big are most of the satellites you're working on, like size-wise?
The satellites that are under me go from everywhere from CubeSats, which are about this big, to something that's about the size of your car. So we have a broad spectrum of satellites. So I'm not a hands-on person anymore. I've gone up the food chain. So now I'm more of a systems engineer role. So that's what we call someone who has to keep an eye on the entire system, right? Because if you let someone who's one subsystem design it, the satellite will look very differently than when you have that holistic, make sure everything actually goes together. So it's more like program management, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, so. I coming up on Productivity Alchemy, first week of September, April Jen Choi from NASA, who does exactly that sort of thing when she's not setting world records for bull whips and fire spinning. So if you're not familiar with April Jen, she's amazing. So
yeah, I started my career at NASA a long time ago, but we actually have to plug Bubonicon. We have a pretty good episode from one of our virtual Bubonicons where I grabbed a bunch of my space engineer friends, and it's space engineers talk about space movies. So
okay, not to completely derail this, but what is the most egregious? Like, what is the one that you look at and you're just like, oh, sweet Jesus, no?
Is it Armageddon?
I think the one that made people angriest is not Armageddon, because Armageddon's not pretending to be real, right? Okay. So if you have someone that's not pretending, you're just like, cool, do whatever you want. This is like Mission Impossible. It's not supposed to be real.
So it's like you don't get mad at Star Wars because it's
Star Wars is not supposed to be real. So the one that made us the most mad is Gravity, because it's pretending to be real and it's not, and nothing about Gravity makes sense. So from a space, like when Gravity came out, people were always like, this is the most realistic it's like, no, everything in Gravity is a lie. So nothing makes sense.
So it's like all the computer engineers screaming at Jurassic Park.
They only had one IT guy for that whole park. I don't even know what that
no. Who was like obviously hired just out of college on a budget.
And
no, the villain was not Nedry. The villain was the guy who hired one IT guy.
No expense spared except in IT.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's always the way. It's always the way.
Writers get very not so much angry as resigned, I think, at movies where somebody wrote one book and is now on tour for years, and their agent like comes to their house and begs them for the next book and whatnot, and they are fabulously wealthy. We're like, yeah, that's not how any of this works, but we wish it worked that way. The other one is, since I am a birder, and bird watching is one of my big things. Birders get very angry at movies because people will just drop any old bird call into a scene.
Usually it's the
cliche is that eagles always give a red-tailed hawk scream because bald eagles actually make more of a quack, and so they just dub a red-tailed hawk over because that sounds very impressive. But there are some, like at the opening of Hudson Hawk, set in Italy or Spain or wherever they were.
Italy.
There's a whippoorwill calling, which is an Eastern North America bird. And when I first watched that movie, I made my friends stop the film and listen at the window to make sure it wasn't one calling outside, because it was such a out of place thing. And
movie, obviously, though, that was not meant to be real. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite Bruce Willis movies ever. But that one was absolutely a romp and not meant to be real.
Yeah, but the thing is that it was set on Earth. Like, if there's a whippoorwill calling in Star Wars, I don't care because it's a space whippoorwill. But this is Earth, and it's specifically Italy, and there are no whippoorwills in Italy.
And we will not talk. We will not speak. This is the only mention. Otherwise, I will mute her. We will not speak of the big year.
No, we should speak of the big year, which was fabulous. They did a great job on the big year with, and like 99% of it was very good. It is a bird watching movie about bird watchers. There's like 4 or 5 things they got wrong, which all the birders nitpick at, but they did a great job at expressing what birders are like, and which is weird, obsessive people who drag their loved ones to extremely questionable places.
I have seen more sewage lagoons in search of birds than any human who isn't in search of birds should have to.
Sewage lagoons are a great place to go to find birds because, you know, there's lots of little bugs there, and shorebirds hang out there, and then, you know, things that prey on shorebirds show up. So I have been to a lot of sewage lagoons. The prettiest one, incidentally, was in Botswana.
That was the only one I enjoyed going to.
Yes,
really.
They had a beautiful sewage lagoon with lots of vegetation and you know, flowers and swallows everywhere. It was spectacular. The worst was in High Island. The worst anything was in High Island, Texas, which is this little tiny point that sticks out from Texas. So all the birds that fly across the Gulf of Mexico land there because it's the first sticky outy part they see. And so every bird that comes into Eastern North America basically funnels through High Island. It's like customs. And if you want to see birds, you go there when they're flying through, and you will see, you know, amazing birds that otherwise you would have to travel halfway to Canada to find, or actually into Canada. But it is, other than the birds, it is a really crappy little town with, like, you know, 1-horse stoplight town.
We loved the people there, but yeah, it was not a normal tourist destination. And I think anytime you're required to get 99% DEET bug repellent, and all it's doing is making the mosquitoes go, this one's a little spicy, let's hit that one again, and your phone case, like, paint is melting from it, but it's not really helping with the mosquitoes so much.
They had some mosquitoes going on that I
skipped the bug spray one day, and it made no difference whatsoever in how many times I got bit. It just meant that my phone case wasn't peeling off a layer of plastic anymore.
Oh, mosquitoes.
He's very patient. One cool thing, incidentally, speaking of mosquitoes, there are very few benefits to chemotherapy, but the one I'm getting, my blood is so toxic it kills mosquitoes now. I know, it's like a superpower. I go outside in the garden and I'm like, go on, do it. I make my day. It is. One takes these little pleasures where we can. But it's cool. They'll like drink it, and then they don't like drop dead in front of you, but they like slow down and get kind of stunned and wobble and sort of. And I actually had one come up, land on me, and I'm watching it going, you gonna, and it tasted me, and then it just walked off. Like it was like, nope, not having any of that. That's messed up. And I'm like, that's
wow,
right.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
It's it's not every variety, but the particular one I get is it's super heavy duty. Like, I can only get so many treatments in a lifetime, or my heart melts, kind of thing. But it's working great. Just in case anyone wants an update, it is very effective, and things are shrinking and getting squishier, which I believe is the technical term, and that's all good. The doctors are thrilled. So.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're getting better.
Yes,
because we want you around for a long time.
I also
I'm a fan of this idea.
Yes, I would also like to be around. Yes, and you know, but there is something to be said for being able to kill mosquitoes with your blood.
If only we could weaponize it.
No, that stuff. No.
To the they make you take a little.
I meant against mosquitoes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, yeah.
Sorry.
Well, they make you take an education class in, you know, what to expect when you're getting poisoned. And with a pharmacist who was not really expecting an author to be in there, and I'm going like, okay, so if I want to use exposure to chemo fluids as a murder weapon in a book, and he's like, please don't. And I'm like, why? Because he's like, it's. I'm like, do you just not want to give people ideas? He's like, no, it's just so far outside the realm of possibility. No, just it's too silly. I'm like, oh, I was hoping I had found an ingenious murder weapon.
Yeah,
but...
no, the problem is that somewhere out there, some person of questionable brain power will decide that that is a real scenario, and you will set off the next wave of alternative medicine.
Oh, or alternative murder weapons, but
yeah,
and then they'll be extremely bummed when it's not working.
I would just like to murder mosquitoes,
Yes.
So. Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm originally from the South, so the mosquitoes are evil and the devil.
Yeah.
But in New Mexico, we don't have any for the most part. So
yes,
we have this strong desire to move to New Mexico at some point, and the low mosquito count is definitely. I mean, it's not green chilies, but it's up there.
Yeah, no, and having even more land for
Chickens.
my flock.
Well, we would love for you to be here, and then you could come to every Bubonicon.
And we would.
That's sort of the appeal.
Join our collection of New Mexico authors.
I know, right?
Well, also, like every science fiction author seems to live in New Mexico or Colorado. It's like, I obviously I missed the memo at some point, and
yeah.
So we should probably start wrapping up. Is there anything you guys want to plug? People should be looking forward to.
I think we already plugged all the things.
Yeah,
that need plugging. Yes,
talked about all of that. But seriously though, give to your local food bank, support your local pet charity, especially rescues, and as always, any charity you can to support the LGBTQ etc. Community is incredibly important and in need of all the help they can get right now.
Absolutely.
So Bubonicon plug, if you're watching this Friday afternoon of Bubonicon, we do have the charity auction tonight. So come to it, and it's everything you spend will go to charity. I do not know off the top of my head what those charities are, but I'm sure it's in your program book. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'd say the last thing to say is, where can people find you on the internet if they want to follow you?
Let's see. Red Wombat Studio is the website that has updates, like when the books come out, stuff like that. Kevin's podcast updates at productivityalchemy.com, or pretty much most any place you can get podcasts. So you can get it on the Apple app. Do they still have a Google app? I don't even know. But probably.
Google podcast.
Yeah, your favorite podcast thingy should have it, and if not, it will eventually, because I'll figure out. Somebody will say, "Why can't I get it on my X?" And I'll be like, "All right, well, where's the thing to get it on X?" Okay, fine, done.
And speaking of X, which we are not calling X, we are going to call it Twitter until we die.
Oh my God, yes.
I am on Twitter at Ursula V, and I basically live on Twitter, so you can find me there, and as long as it continues to exist.
Yeah, and I'm Sonney, Sonney, on the site formerly known as Twitter. And
it's still Twitter.
And I try to keep that one across other social medias if it hasn't already been taken. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for being able to join us virtually, and we hope to see you next year.
Yes, hope to be there next year too.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Later.